unless and until we can take care of teachers with honor and dignity and accord them their rightful places in our state and society. We must give them a decent salary that should be able to pay this as and when due. We should include in their conditions of service the necessary incentives, including housing, teaching, learning materials, as well as teacher professional development to upgrade their pedagogical and content knowledge. We must stop recruiting unqualified teachers into the system, especially when we have many qualified teachers roaming our streets without regular jobs. The National Council on Education, under my chairmanship, has given a clear directive to all unqualified teachers, as well as their employers, to acquire the requisite qualification or disengage from teaching on or before 31st December 2019. This remains an irrevocable order of the Council. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I venture to state that in any genuine effort to improve quality and learning outcomes within our educational system, it is also essential for us to deploy information technology effectively and appropriately. Edo State and few other states have begun doing so. One key policy objective in the ministerial strategic plan is to restructure the teaching and learning environment to be ICT-driven by providing classrooms with requisite ICT infrastructure and services, including ICT facilities for learners with special needs. It is in line with these objectives that the federal government, through UBEC, had begun the process of constructing 7 zonal and 12 education and the challenges attached to it at all levels. Education funding in Nigeria for most of the last 2 decades has stayed well under 3% of GDP, far below the 4.6% average for sub-Saharan Africa. Instructively, teacher salaries account for over 80% of state budgetary allocations. Although many states which have reasonable income from other sources expend a significant part of it on their basic education subsectors, others rely almost entirely on the FG and UBE funds to support school infrastructural development in their states. This is an unhealthy situation which cannot augur well for a balanced and coordinated development of the subsector. It is important for states not only to budget for and set aside annually their counterpart funds, but also to explore other sources of funding for the basic education subsector. Quality education has never been cheap. If we really value it and would want to safeguard the future of our children and the future of our nation, we must expand the requisite resources to realize our strategic goals. For the avoidance of doubt, I wish to reiterate the commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration in sustaining the funding of the basic education subsector through the Universal Basic Education Commission and supporting state governments in the discharge of their basic education obligations. For the record, the federal government through UBEC from 2015 to 2018 had allocated to states the sum of 164 billion naira. $32,877,185 as matching grants, 34,974,000,000 for teacher professional development, 52,461,000,000 for instructional materials, and 6,9 994 million for special education. It is our belief that if these funds are fully accessed by state governments and properly utilized, they will go a long way in making a real difference for the basic education subsector. Your Excellency, I must state in conclusion that we are all keenly aware that building human capital and sustaining livelihoods have always been your passion and shall remain so. We have seen what you have been able to achieve in the last 2 years. But knowing you well as a friend and a brother, and the true achiever that you always are, I can say without any equivocation that we have seen the best, but the best is yet to come. And as you continue your giant strides in building Edo State of our dreams, please rest assured that the Federal Ministry of Education shall be solidly behind you in this national endeavor. With these words, I thank you once again for this kind invitation and wish you a successful anniversary. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think that Professor Boboyi, the representative of the Honorable Minister for Education, has really set us off on a good note, especially because the first panel is focusing on education. So without further ado, we're going to launch straight into our own conversation here. We have an exciting lineup of panelists, and I personally am looking forward to hearing your own contributions and learning from your own experience as well. So we know how important education is to Edo State. I've been reading this, and I see that education is encapsulated under the social welfare enhancement pillar of the state's economic agenda, economic reform agenda. And you know, there's this emphasis on basic education and technical and vocational education and training as pillars to provide that leverage that the state actually is looking for in the 21st century. So what we're going to be doing on this panel is focusing on, first of all, examples of good practice from within the state and also from the international community. And we're looking at how Edo State is strengthening its competencies in the delivery of basic education and of TVET. We're also going to be looking at what sort of opportunities exist for a state like this in thinking about a world
across Africa, India, and China to show that when provided with the right technology and training and support, children in our communities can perform at globally competitive levels. And that's what we're starting to see here in Edo as well. And so we're thrilled to partner with Governor Obasheki and his team as they transform education in this state to be the quality of education that is deserving of one of the great cradles of civilization. So I'm thrilled and honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joan Osalviawe. I'm the chairperson of SUBEB, State Universal.
Good morning, ladies and